the weather forecast with C3 Production.
Bonsoir and happy to have you join me once again on this edition of the weather forecast. I trust you had a fulfilling day. Tonight we look forward to moderate to heavy precipitation in parts of the northwest, southwest and the Adamawa regions with a cumulative rainfall of up to 50 millimeters. And until tomorrow we may have the western littoral regions continue to experience moderate to heavy precipitation. And on Friday the northwest and southwest regions may be dominated by moderate to heavy precipitation with a cumulative rainfall still between 25 to 50 millimeters. Meanwhile, the rest of the nation is expected to remain calm and temperatures may get as low as 16 to 17 degrees in the littoral, west, northwest and the Adamawa regions. The center, south and east regions may expect temperatures to get as low as 19 degrees and the southwest, north and far north regions may have temperatures get to a minimum of between 21 to 22 degrees. It is important that you step out in warm clothing, stay away from swampy areas and also make sure you sleep under long-lasting, well-treated mosquito nets. Thank you for watching and have a good night.
Cameroon gets set for the 2021 African Nations Championship at a time when the intermediate Lions remain unimpressive in their game. Their goalless ties in recent friendlies leave fans in doubt as sports analysts ponder over strategies for victory in the tournament. Cameroon records a diplomatic gain with the election of Maria Tuyab as first ever female Secretary General of the International Civil Defense Organization. She beat her Lebanese contender 30 votes to 23 during the 24th General Assembly of the body in Geneva. A workshop specialized in the fabrication of locally made rifles and other weapons in NKONGSAMBA littoral region is uncovered by the police. It is suspected that the structure is a supplier to separatists in the northwest and southwest regions. Those were the headlines of the 7:30 news. Thanks for joining us.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
We begin our half-hour newscast with preparations of the 2021 African Nations Championship that are heightening throughout the country. In the Southwest region, Sports and Physical Education Minister Professor Narcisse Molekombi has inspected the sporting and accommodation sites in Limbe and in Boya, accompanied by top sports officials in the country and members of the organizing committee. He exhorted all and sundry to stay mobilized till January 2021. No Protus has the details.
For the Limbe-Boya site that is considered ready since several months now, this umpteenth ministerial visit could well have been just a routine one. But not so for Professor Narcisse Molekombi, who inspected not only the sporting and accommodation facilities in Boya and Limbe, but also the accreditation center in Down Beach, Limbe. Accompanied by top members of the National Organizing Committee for the CHAN 2021 and CAN 2022, like former CAF President Issa Hayatu and FECAFOOT President Seydou Mbombo Njoya, Professor Narcisse Molekombi said this was a mobilization visit.
And it is necessary for all the stakeholders to do everything possible for the successfully organization of this very important competition.
The minister noted the excellent state of all the sporting, hotel and other facilities inspected, but urged that regular maintenance be stepped up.
Maintenance is a very, very important matter. We have to address some important issues to be sure that up to January all will be okay.
A last CAF inspection mission before the competition in January is expected in Limbe on October 29.
Barely 3 months to the start of the African Nations Championship, Cameroonians are yet to be convinced about the strength and tact of the intermediate Lions after their current 2-week camp where they have recorded 2 goalless ties in international friendlies with South Sudan. Their unimpressive performance has left many wondering if they can honorably represent Cameroon in the competition. NKONGSAMBA finds out from some sports analysts what it will take to get the team wake up from slumber.
They have been less convincing lately, with less enviable performances that leave many football fans worried about an impressive performance for Cameroon during the upcoming African Nations Championship. And for Team Cameroon to be ready,
this is a competition which brings together teams which are home-based, and those teams are going to have competitive championships while we have not even started our championship, and there's no way out of it but to kickstart the championship.
We have to organize a running championship, because without any running championship, our players cannot be competitive.
Football experts advocate for more serenity in the Lions' den.
Keeping the serenity into the group, because there has been much external influence.
Putting aside key players at this moment of the preparatory phase must be discouraged.
The coach would have mastered his squad at least 6 months before now. At the last minute, if he starts firing players, it means he's not yet mastered his squad.
There is urgent need for these recommendations to be respected.
Still in sports, the new football season for Elite 1 clubs in Cameroon will begin on October 31. Officials of the Professional Football League affirm that it is government's will to see the kickoff of the championship and expect clubs and players to be fully involved. Romeo Kenny reports that the decision has been applauded by football coaches and managers.
The zeal to get back to full action in stadia is at fever pitch for Elite 1 players. A tentative date for the start of a new football season in the country is slated for October 31. To football coaches and managers, the decision is commendable.
We are going to prepare the team about this date. It's going to be difficult, well, I tell you, because the preparation is not efficient.
We are working to begin the tournament. I think that we are going to do our best.
In the meantime, they worry over the future of the forthcoming season, given that in the past, several of such actions were taken but ended in lockers. On the contrary, at the Professional Football League headquarters, there is nothing to worry about. A 7-man ad hoc committee is working tirelessly on daily basis for a smooth kickoff of the showdown.
We are ready because it is a prescription from the government of Cameroon, of the Republic. And now we are going on with the calendar.
If emphasis is being laid on communication and advertising of the championship, a proposed format of a one-pool tournament for all 21 top-tier sides has been drafted by league officials pending validation during an anticipated board meeting.
On today's good news, Cameroon has recorded a diplomatic victory today with the election of Mariatou Yap as the new Secretary General of the International Civil Defense Organization. The current director of the Department of Civil Protection at the Ministry of Territorial Administration beat her Lebanese contender 30 votes to 23 in Switzerland, Geneva today to become the first ever female Secretary General of the organization. Charles Ebounet has more.
This is the first ever female Secretary General of the about 90-year-old International Civil Defense Organization headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, with 59 member states plus 16 others as observers. A teacher by profession, Mariatou Yap serves currently as the Director of Civil Protection at the Ministry of Territorial Administration and had rubbed shoulders with the International Civil Defense Organization for some time now. A choice of President Paul Biya and by extension a victory for the Cameroonian diplomatic establishment, the first ever female Secretary General was overwhelmingly elected by member states in its 24th General Assembly meeting by a vote of 30 against 23 to defeat her Lebanese counterpart, and she will ensure a globalized response to disasters, whether natural or man-made, one of the key missions of the organization.
And it's congratulations to Cameroon. In one of our top stories, a factory specialized in the manufacture of locally made rifles in NKONGSAMBA is under investigation and one of its operators is under arrest. It is alleged that the supplies of the workshop are directed to separatist fighters in the northwest and southwest regions. The senior divisional officer for Mongo, Yves-Bertrand Njana, has been on the site to encourage the population. Dixon Ashu tells us more.
The workshop in question shares the same premises with the home of the suspect now in custody, 43-year-old Piengui in the NKONGSAMBA 1 municipality. Iron bars and other welding materials make up the content of the workshop, but also a motorcycle and then guns in manufacture and others undergoing rehabilitation, which have been seized by the gendarmes in the area.
We find what they call calibre 12 in French, local meat, with the ordered local fabrications, as well as the raw materials that are used to fabricate the various weapons.
The suspect denies every allegations of manufacturing and trading the items with separatist fighters in the northwest and southwest regions, and the Merida man the operation is not convinced. They say the suspect was arrested on his way back from Limbe, where he is suspected to have made some supplies. After his arrest Tuesday, October 13, the gendarmes say a certain retired chief warrant officer named Thomas Ebone had showed up with a sum of 400,000 francs for the suspect's release, but was also taken in as a suspect in the chain, whom they say, going by further investigations, seems to be the person securing financial payments from abroad for the supplies. Mongo's senior divisional officer, Yves-Bertrand Njana, went alongside his état-major to have a close look of the evidence. The gendarmes say investigations are still in pursuit to uncover other puzzles of the network.
On today's developing story on customs taxes on telephones and computer tablets, customs authorities reassure the population that the digitalization system of collecting taxes does not introduce new ones. In a recent report, it is outlined that the reform is intended to eliminate fraud in the sector and to maximize revenue. Luma Slim Davis explains.
Imported telephones and other terminals today bring in less than 100 million CFA francs in taxes, as against 2 billion francs collected in years 2000. There is need, therefore, to simply check fraud.
Where the payment has been deferred, a special platform has been set up due to this collaboration between the two departments of Finance and Post and Telecommunications, which now permits duties and taxes that were suspended at the border point to be collected by a digital platform. There is no new tax burden on the consumer. It is only the mode of collection which is altered.
Digital collection system is seen as the best mechanism to collect revenue.
From the characteristics of the apparatus, they will also identify its value. Now on the value, they will impose the statutory duty rate, which is about 33% of the value.
The digitalization system of collection eliminates any effects of smuggling, since all gadgets will be taxed, no matter the mode of entry into the country.
To collect customs duties on telephone goes digital. Different actors in the collection chain say ample measures have been put in place to ensure the success of the operation. These duties will either be paid by dealers upon clearance of their goods or by consumers with information that the tax is yet to be paid. Clarice Aritagan takes a look at the administrative and technical aspects involved.
At the administrative level, a number of actors have the strategic role of ensuring that customs duties and taxes are indeed levied on phones and other digital terminals. The entente between the state and mobile phone operators will imply that the security of user data and the revenue collected will be guaranteed. Studies published by social media management platforms reveal that between January 2019 and January 2020, mobile phone users in Cameroon increased by 19%. The state's agent handling the technical specificities of the operation has ensured that the digital platform is interconnected with the network systems of mobile phone operators legally carrying out the activities in Cameroon. The device detects and identifies phones through the International Mobile Equipment Identity Number, paving the way for the appropriate customs dues to be determined. In cases where more phones have the same IMEI number, information such as SIM number, name of owner, and IP address for terminals will be required. Specific accounts will be assigned to each phone. The money collected each month will be transferred to the public treasury by phone operators who would have completed their task by the 15th of the following month.
Away from the customs sector, it is now possible to train in Cameroon and to gain international expertise at the same time. This is through the Innotech Lab project, whose incubation center was inaugurated today. The Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Achille Basilican III, reiterated that the center will offer technical tools to startups. He was accompanied at the events by the Ministers of Labour and Social Security, as well as that of Employment and Vocational Training. Beatrice Ngum has the details.
The inauguration of the Innotech Lab, an incubation center that promotes technological innovation in the SMEs sector, means SMEs in Cameroon now have a structure that can assist them excel in their business adventures.
With this center, we are going to develop here prototypes, and we are going also to ensure that the content of the vocational training is also going to be transformed.
Cameroon's diaspora in Germany has come up with Innotech Lab as a solution to boost the SME sector.
This center will have cutting-edge technologies that will give youth, but also professionals from Cameroon to develop new technologies, to define also new vocational training programs that will respond to the employment.
The structure, constructed through German and French partnership, has as matron Constance Owena. Innotech Lab will play a key role in shaping industrialization in order to ease job creation in the country.
In politics, the verdict of 10 petitions submitted by different political parties at the Administrative Court of the Centre Region has been given. The submissions, which relate to the December 6 regional election and examined by the President of the Court, Alexander Anabambo, were rejected. Sidonie Jopmandi has details of the proceedings in this report.
Administrative Court of the Centre Region has passed its judgment on, and all the petitions submitted by different political parties for the regional council elections were thrown away. All the 10 files were declared unfounded and dismissed by Alexander Nabamboa, President of the Administrative Court. A case in point was the petition submitted by members of the UPC political party who requested the rejection of candidate list published by Elekam in the Nyong and Kele division.
What law have preview has been done, so every document which were wet has been received by Elekam, and we have accept list. The petition, in our view, is not found.
Some petitions were also submitted by traditional rulers calling for the cancelling of resolutions taken by Elections Cameroon in the Upper Sanaga division. Issues related to double identity of some candidates were also examined during the pre-electoral litigations with regard to the regional council elections of December 6th, 2020.
The developments of 11 councils in the Jar mining area of the South region is being discussed by members of the PATYCHOU, the government outfit in charge with its progress. The Jar Reserve incorporates parts of the South and East regions and is rich in minerals like iron. Clarence Azay reports that municipal authorities are being consulted in the drawing up of the development plan on the mining loom.
The forum, instituted by the Ministry of Public Works, brought together mayors of the Jar and Lobo division, who after a preliminary meeting presented a balance sheet of the state of roads that have been tarred, those to be tarred, created and renovated in view of obtaining funds for the execution of these projects from the Ministry of Public Works. The working session, which lasted for close to 3 hours, was chaired by Governor Felix Ngelengele, who appreciated the efforts deployed by the different mayors.
The order that the minister will sign in the days ahead, that order will contain the references of each communal roads.
With the state of roads recorded, the reports of the different councils have been signed by the mayors and will be transmitted to the Minister of Public Works for due consideration in the days ahead.
Candidates have begun vying for the position of presidents of United Councils and Cities, and amongst them is the mayor of the Yaoundé 7 Council area, Augustin Tamba. Ahead of the election on November 7, he promises to hasten the decentralization process and to push for mechanisms that will guarantee the socio-economic empowerment of cities and local councils. Here's an excerpt of his manifesto.
Je voudrais dire que nous sommes prêts.
I and my team are ready to take on this new adventure, which is going to change the fate of Cameroon for the better by revolutionizing the public contract code. Thanks to the enforcement of the new decentralization code promulgated by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, we want to improve the livelihood of Cameroonians.
Artisans inlassables du processus de décentralisation.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
It is 7:51, and living with the coronavirus has affected the well-being of the population and also led to some stereotypes, especially when it comes to reproductive health. How couples relate to one another and their sexual life is being gradually altered as doubts abound on whether the virus can be transmitted during intimate relations or not. That is our focus tonight, as we'll take you to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center to meet Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Philemon Are. Hello, Baldwin. Tell us, is the coronavirus sexually transmitted?
Good evening to you, Esther Kima. I should say it's a taboo among most persons in the society. Meanwhile, it's a very pertinent topic, discussing about it, whether or not can be sexually transmitted, and that is what we shall be discussing tonight with our guest, Dr. Philemon Are. He is a gynecologist. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening, Baldwin.
Let us find out from you, is the coronavirus sexually transmissible?
The coronavirus is not sexually transmissible. Its transmission is through droplets, by coughing, by kissing, and by touching their spouse. That is how we get the transmission, not through the sexual organs itself. That is the semen of the sexual intercourse.
And if one of the partners, for example, is COVID-19 positive, how can it affect his or her sexual abilities?
Once a partner is tested positive for COVID-19, the patient needs to go through the screening. And once you go through the screening and you're tested positive, you need to be confined. With confinement, you are bound to stay away from your loved ones. And staying away from your loved ones means you don't have sexual intercourse with your loved ones, hence limiting the risk of transmission.
Thank you so much, Dr. Philemon Are. You are a gynecologist. It's possible, it's not possible for the virus to be sexually transmitted. It all depends on how the male and the female meet during this particular period for the coronavirus. And couples and likewise Cameroonians at large are called upon to continue respecting the barrier measures that limit the spread of the coronavirus. Back to you, Esther Kima.
Thanks very much, Baldwin Sama. If we get intimate with our partners who are COVID-19 positive, then there is a possibility that we may also get infected. Now, on to education. More than a week since schools reopened, some science and philosophy textbooks are still not available in bookshops. That notwithstanding, teachers are able to dispense lessons appropriately with the aid of teaching manuals provided by pedagogic inspectors. Act 3 of our running series on textbooks gives us a picture of a classroom experience where pupils have no textbooks. Yotili Kalelisonge is on that.
Accuracy remains the teacher's ultimate goal in spite of a major setback this school year.
The competence-based approach is going on in the level of terminal. We have a lot of problems because the books are not available now.
There is mathematics in premier day and science in premier day.
Nonetheless, they are equipped and have just the perfect technique.
We have a program which has been drawn by the ministry.
Since some textbooks are not available, we make our own tutorials and give them to the students.
Can always make research in the internet, and also we can lay our hands on other textbooks that are not even on the program but that have the same content of work to be covered.
The absence of some textbooks, however, means more work for instructors.
We have to prepare what we have to teach in class and prepare what we have to give them to revise at home.
Students too are coping.
I use old books.
With a ding, school is over and off they go, hoping all textbooks will be available soon in bookshops. In higher education, the rector of the University of Douala, Professor Magloire Ondwa, has been assessing the quality of lectures in some institutions under the mentorship of his university. He was at the Institute for Training in Telecommunications, Innovation, Technology and Business Management, as well as the African Institute for Computer Sciences at the start of the academic year. Alice Mbe reports.
A warm and cordial reception was accorded to the rector of the University of Douala at the Higher Institute for Training in Telecommunication, Innovation, Technology and Business Management.
I have come here to ensure an effective new school year at LIFTIC. It is a private institution under the supervision of the Douala University.
This modern contact visit equally took him to EIE Cameroon, where he exchanged ideas with students and school administrators.
L'Université de Douala est donc satisfaite.
I am happy with the visit because the institution has good, ambitious programs for students. The students have the right to obtain the same qualification at the end of their course as those of the University of Douala.
The act follows a similar exercise to the different institutions under the mentorship of the University of Douala.
In the build-up to the International Rural Women's Day tomorrow, a one-day workshop on easing access to land certificates for women is underway in Monatele. The outreach campaign is organized by the Ministry of State Property, Surveys and Land Tenure at a time when land ownership for women remains a challenge. Constantine Baum tells us more.
In Cameroon, many women, especially rural women, endure practices that could be considered discriminatory in various areas, especially related to land ownership. This come together in Mbele, Obala subdivision, organized by the Ministry of State Property, Surveys and Land Tenure to facilitate the process by letting them know what documents are needed for them to obtain their land certificates.
Come to Mbele to celebrate rural women. We have 3 beneficiaries who have received the line title. Is the example of our ministry to help that woman for their job.
It was not only letting them know how to go about getting the land certificates. Those who had gone through the process were handed copies of their land certificates. In rural areas, land is the main source of income. This explains the smiles on the faces of those going home with their land certificates. In practice, the lack of control by women over their land exposes them to great insecurity and make their economic situation very precarious.
In culture, Cameroon's urban music artist Wax Day has shared his view on promoting environmental protection through music with the Minister of Arts and Culture. During an audience granted him today by Minister Bedungpat, he was acclaimed for taking Cameroon's culture beyond borders and enjoying to use his expertise to impact the sector. He spoke to the 7:30 News after the audience.
To lay out, some of our contributions as young and urban artists to the development of the musical sector in Cameroon, namely the organization of the Cameroon Urban Music Youth Conference, which seek to engage international players such as Master KG from South Africa, such as the executive producer of Afrima, Adenwelini, to share experiences with our urban artists, but also bringing together parties that have committed to work with us, such as UNESCO.
Cameroon has recorded a diplomatic gain with the election of Mariatou Yap as the first ever female Secretary General of the International Civil Defense Organization. She beat her Lebanese contender 30 votes to 23 during the 24th General Assembly of the body in Geneva today. That was our main story, and if you missed out on it, you can join Adel Mbala at 8:30 p.m. for the news in the French language. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to our programs on CRTV. Good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing